Hello, welcome to the start of another week. I hope you're doing awesome. I hope your homework from last week, getting those pitches going, is going well, and that all the other pieces are flowing or finding some ease in the process. So today we are going to talk about networking, applying, how to make it all work for you. So, first and foremost, I would love for you all to track everything you're doing. So it can be a piece of paper. If you're a pen and paper kind of person, it can be a Google Sheet, whatever system. There are also different applications that do this. So whatever, if you've got something working, great. And if not, I really recommend starting to track so that you have data around everything you're doing, you know who you're reaching out to, when, because I'm going to encourage you to follow up if you don't hear back from people right away or at all, right? So a big part of this job search process, especially in the market that we're in, is, and I probably don't need to say this, but really you're sort of a salesperson for yourself. There's, depending on your role, because it does vary by role, of course, and experience and all sorts of things. So many variables here. So if this doesn't apply to you, all good. But a lot of us are going to have to advocate and really put ourselves out there and kind of work this process. So let's track the data so we know where things may be losing some traction or not getting traction, or like on those down days where it feels like nothing's working, nothing's going well, and we can see in the data like actually some things are. That can be really helpful. Okay, so first we're tracking, right? Now when it comes to actually applying, and again, it does depend on the role, the experience, the industry. The quick apply on most of these platforms, LinkedIn, Indeed, etc., are maybe not going to get you so far. And if they do, rock on. That is awesome. And the rest of us are jealous for sure. But these are great places to source opportunities. So again, LinkedIn, Indeed, Google's another really good one. So just helping to find the opportunities that are relevant to you. These are great places to do them. And there's so many others, and there's so many like tailored to specific needs or desires and identities and roles. And so don't be afraid to use Google and your community here in the network, and maybe even ChatGPT's got information on this. I'm sure it does. But yeah, like think of all of those things as a great way to source opportunities, or at least to start that process of getting a feel for what is available to me, knowing that quick apply is probably not going to be the only step required. Okay, so what I do recommend is once you find those opportunities, go to the website for the company. Check that out. Is it still aligned with your values, the things you want to be doing? Like, do a little bit of research. Maybe you already know the company. That's awesome. Maybe you don't care. Also great. But also applying via their website can give you a leg up. I know I've worked with recruiters in the past and folks who work at companies who get very excited when people apply through the actual website, because it shows somehow they got there, and maybe there's a deeper connection and deeper meaning for them, and that felt meaningful to the company. So just a little insider tip there. What we want to do once we found the opportunity, we've checked out the website, is to then find a recruiter or a connection you got, or a second, third degree connection, someone you can get an intro to, or just another employee who works there, maybe somebody in the role that you're targeting. And again, when we track this, it super helps, right? So, okay, Apple, and here's a recruiter, and we want to do research like the recruiter who's actually recruiting for your type of role. So if you're in a technical role, looking for a technical recruiter, these massive companies have so many recruiters who work on just a small set of roles. So not everyone is sourcing for the roles, right? So doing a lot of this really comes to doing due diligence and doing the heavy lifting in the process. So find as much information as you can to reach out to the most right/helpful person. And it's okay if you don't get, know who that is. Do your best. Of course, we want to leverage connections that you already have, because those are super helpful. And if you got companies you really love, put that on your list, like you just know off the top of your head. So a couple different ways to source opportunities. We've got all those platforms. We've got our first degree connections, and then companies we may just already love. And I'm going to talk more about the outreach messages in just a second here. Okay, so basically the big goal, like I'd mentioned on a previous video, like we really want to make this process so that when we wake up, we can like bring as much flow to the situation as possible. So if you already have a list of 20, 40, 50, 100 opportunities, the work of finding them is done. So that's a big part of the process and a big energy thing. That's done. So now we just get to work on whether it's the application or the outreach, or I'm going to suggest both. Then that is the only part that you have to focus on. And you can break this down even further to whatever works best for you. So let's talk about outreach messages. So this could be on LinkedIn is a really great platform, especially if you're in the tech industry, but a lot of professionals are on there. And maybe there are other places specifically that you know work for your industry or your role. I recommend using whatever makes sense. When it comes to those personal connections, you may have folks' emails. If you're on like a super tight basis, maybe a text is fine. I like to say like keep it to the most professional platform you can, depending on the level of intimacy you have with a person. So let that be within your decision making on what that means. All right, so for our outreach, what I really, really want to ground folks in, because I've worked with so many people on this, and what they often come up against is a feeling of like, I'm bothering them, I'm asking for something I have no business to be asking for. Feels yucky, it feels gross, it feels weird, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it can be all of those things. And what I really want you to know is how normal this process is. So maybe you're someone who's already like great at networking. Awesome. Share with the community how you do it and how you feel about it. And let's like spread that positivity around it, because it's so normal. And this is truly how so many folks move forward in their careers and get connected with each other, especially on LinkedIn. It's a professional networking platform. So it's literally why folks are there. So I want you grounded in knowing how normal the process is, how okay it is, and that you're valuable and you have something valuable to offer because of the skills that you have. So while ultimately we're asking for a call to network and connect with folks, at the end of the day, you are generally helping folks accomplish their goals by filling a role or expanding their team. So folks, I would recommend reaching out to, of course, the connections you already have, however loosely, and asking for folks to make intros when possible. But if you're just cold outreaching, we want to target recruiters because they are on LinkedIn all day, every day. You're literally helping them do their jobs. Folks who work at the company, they're maybe not on there all day, every day, but a lot of folks get referral bonuses, and are down for that and want to be in a conversation. So don't be afraid to reach out to people in your target role. Hiring managers, they're generally more busy, right? But they're looking to expand their team. They're the decision makers. So they're another person you could reach out to. To give you some structure for the messaging, we want a greeting. We want to acknowledge/engage them. And I'm going to give you a little example. We want to share why we're reaching out. We want to offer our value. We want to ask for a conversation, and then, we'll do a sign off. And again, you're valuable and you're adding value. Okay. So don't forget that. And in the messaging, we do want to put the focus on them. So let me give you a little example here. Hey, Sarah, happy Monday. That's our greeting. The acknowledgement, the engagement. Oh, you can do a little research on them. Do they have a blog post? Is there a new role? Or maybe it's just congrats on your new role, or congrats on working at SpaceX. I recently read your blog. I was fascinated by some of the things you said. Would you go to Mars if you had the opportunity? So there's your engagement. There's a way to connect with them, making it about them. I'm reaching out because I saw you posted a position for a technical recruiter and I'm super interested. So that's why I'm reaching out, offering value. I currently work with job seeking software engineers, so I intimately know the struggles they go through and what they're looking for. And I would love to bring that to the team at SpaceX and help grow what you've got going. So that's my value add. Would you have time for a quick phone call sometime this or next week? A lot of times I would recommend a phone call because it's contained. People can say yes to it. The back and forth, some may prefer back and forth messaging. That's all good too. So I would recommend asking for a call though. And then a sign off like, hope you have a great week, or thank you for your consideration. Now you can do this in the free add a note on LinkedIn, which, yeah, some folks like premium when they're job seeking. I don't think it's necessary, but if you've got it, awesome. And if you don't leverage the free note, it's, I think 300 characters. So, you know, it's short, but you can make it work for sure. So that's just an example of an outreach message. And then, like I said, follow up is necessary if you're kind of putting on your salesperson hat for this job search thing. We are tracking, hey, I reached out to Sarah on August 8th and it's been 2 days. So some people use a 2-2-2 methodology. So every 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. On the job search, I think you could do like check in a couple days within a week, send a follow-up, and then if nothing, maybe a week later. I maybe wouldn't go too much harder than that, but I have had people go like 2, 3, 4 times unanswered, and on the 4th one, get the response led to interview. I can't remember if that's the job they ended up taking or not, but anyway, it can happen. So, and a lot of recruiters say like they're inundated, and like getting that follow-up ping is really helpful because it pushes you, back to the top, and it helps you stand out. It shows you're really hungry for it. And, if that's not in your ethos or like ways of being, that's totally fine too. Like do what is aligned, and just know like recruiters do want to hear from you. So that follow-up can be really necessary and super encouraged. I've had many recruiters say they encourage that. So just to give you support on that, if this is outside of the comfort zone, get in community, practice with each other. So that's my homework to you on this. Send each other outreach messages. So on LinkedIn, as you can do it or off of LinkedIn, but if you haven't connected on LinkedIn yet, then you can do the add a note and get your practice in. Okay, that was a big one. I'm going to stop talking, which I know I say at the end of every single video at this point. It's hard to really distill all of this big information into a short video, and I hope you're getting value from what's coming through them. And of course, if you have questions, let us know, and we're looking forward to seeing you again soon.